Well, it's back to basics today. You really can't master the JNIOR without getting involved with the command line. And I know that the DOS prompt has sort of a negative connotation to it. But this is really the heart of any operating system. And the Windows operating system originally was derived, built upon DOS. And DOS was a manifestation of CP/M. And the very first operating systems for microcomputers involved the command line. CP/M only ran one process at a time. It was extended to run multiple processes by some clever people. Windows ran on DOS, and later on it was revised to look like Windows ran on the computer and DOS ran under Windows. And that's what you're familiar with. And anytime anyone suggested going to the command prompt in Windows, it was like, geez, people don't even want to bother because the commands are cryptic. Understood. But it's the heart of any operating system. And just like when you write a software program, the first thing you do is a hello world, just to get the thing to print something back to show that the program is running. And we'll do some of that. The very first thing that you do when you're developing an operating system is to get the hardware to talk back to you. And you, in fact, do write a hello world, in essence, to generate the banner that shows that there's life in your operating system as you're developing it. And the command prompt is the very first interface there is to any operating system, any multitasking operating system. And you'll see with JANOS how that has come to its current level of functionality. But we're not going to use DOS on Windows. In fact, we don't need to use a Windows machine at all to get to the command prompt on a JNIOR. Such as like this JNIOR here, which is actually in a real-world application, and at some point I'll show you that in detail. We can go using Telnet to its command prompt and log in. There it is. Looks like a DOS window. Yeah, and it is pretty much the same in that respect. You can do directories, take a look at things. And we can even look at processes, PS function, and see what processes are running. JANOS can run up to 16 individual independent processes. There are a few that are default. First of all, one that doesn't count in the 16 is the idle process. Now you can see that this unit has been running, actually it was updated to version 1.5 recently, so it's been running for 28 hours. And it's also an application where the home power goes down, especially on very hot days, as they switch over the voltage levels, I assume. So it's been running for 28 hours and idle. And of that 28 hours in 26 minutes total, most of it's idle time. There's like 4 minutes of network communications. There's that's 4 seconds of network operations, 4 minutes of system functionality, and 17 minutes of actual application. It runs this Infinity application. And we'll show you that at some point where those applications reside. But it's in this jar file. And we can create those using NetBeans, or it's written in Java. To get to all of this and all this, getting this detail, including statistics on the various processes, and actually there's a great deal of diagnostic information available here. To really master the JNIOR, you need the command line. So this morning I'm going to show you 2 or 3 ways to get to the command line. Since I'll be using the command line quite a bit in some videos, I want to assume that you know how to get to it and you're familiar with it. So today I'm just going to show you exactly how to get to it in enough ways that you get the job done. First of all, the there's a support tool. You can download this from the website. Support tool shows you all the juniors on the network, and this is called Beacon because our juniors do broadcast a packet to announce themselves to the local network. So as long as your desktop computer is on the same leg of the network as the juniors, you'll see them here. Broadcasts from hardware units does not go across routers. So if you have a router and you're in a separate building, you're not going to see the juniors over in another location. But if you are working with a junior and you have it in your office, this is a way to see which ones are on the network and get to it. So what I'm going to do is back over here, I have the Series 3 and I have a Series 4. I'm going to power one of them up. Let's take the Series 4 and bring the power up on it. Plug the transformer back in over here. There we go. You can see that it booted. Okay, and I'm going to put it on the network. And if we watched over here, as the unit boots up and negotiates the network, we will see that it will become available. There it is on our support tool. Now, to get the command line, one easy way is to use a right-click here, go to Tools, and Telnet. So here we are, junior. On that, on this junior right here. Now, how do I know it's that junior? This is good. If you got a bunch of them, here's an interesting trick. I'll get out of the command line by closing it. You can right-click here, and you can say, of course, query all will give you update your list. You can configure these units, and we can talk about that in the future. But there is a function, identify, that, watch the junior there, you see? We flashed the yellow light. Now, seems kind of silly here, but if you're in a situation, and they exist, where there's several of these mounted to the wall, running various different processes in the building or what have you, and you want to physically identify one of them, perhaps maybe to remove it, to upgrade it. That's an easy way to pick them out of the crowd, is by identifying it this way. Bing. Okay, so you can get the Telnet through here. Another way to get to Telnet, and this is new at version 1.4 JANOS, and now with the version 1.5 release, is to use the web page. Now you can use this to go to the web page. Oh, my bad. Here we go. Now these are dynamic pages running in HTML5 that we are releasing with version 1.5 JANOS. You may be familiar with a version of this that runs under Java as an applet. Those things are becoming a little bit of a security challenge to run. In fact, Chrome won't run the applets. So we have this new version. It has this thing called Command Console. There we have another way of getting into the Command Console. By the way, the system.log. Okay. We'll show you that there have been successful logins and what IP address, if it's over the network, is making the login. This 102 happens to be this desktop computer. And you can see that we've made 2 successful logins, one through Telnet and one through this. This is not Telnet. This is done through a WebSocket over the port 80 or 443 through a web interface. That's important. If you're going to restrict the ports that are available, from the outside to your junior, you would want to limit the number down. If you just had port 80 open, you could still get to your command console through this interface, through the web page. Like that. Now, is there another way? Well, certainly outside of the support tool, if you don't have the support tool loaded, you could come in here at your and just type telnet, use the local telnet application if it's there. .192.168.2.10. And there we go. We opened it up that way. The command line interface, by the way, has a very nice couple of basic tools, such as the ability to use the tab key to stroll through the files at a particular level. So here we are at the root of the file system, and if we look at the directory here at the root, we'll see that there's an Etsy folder, a Flash folder, a temp folder, and then these 4 files. So if we wanted to cat, say, a file, and now I just hit tab, it runs through them: Etsy, Flash, JNIOR boot log, the backup of the boot log. When the unit boots, it generates a boot log, and it takes the previous boot log and copies it into as a back file. So you can see at least the last 2 boots. The IO log, which shows you diagnostic information on the input ports, and we'll get into that at some point. And the system log. And the system log also does the back functionality once it gets to be about 64K in size. So you get at least 128K in characters worth of history on a unit before it starts to overwrite. And you can, of course, save these files to your PC at various points in time if you need to have a record of what has occurred on a unit. But you can see you can go through like that. You can also start typing and say J, and now it'll only go through and show you the files that start with J. Obviously, we've got 4 files here that all start with JNIOR, and so I could type JNIOR B, for instance, and then just toggle between these. The Etsy folder, not that it matters for this particular topic, the Etsy folder is a read-only folder, and it contains JANOS which is the runtime Java class library that is used by applications. You can pull this file off the JNIOR and use it to build your applications, but we do supply a version of the runtime that includes these classes and the Java doc and a structural source listings, so that your IDE can be much more informative as you're developing applications, and we'll show you that in the future. But again, it's a reason to maybe come to the command prompt. Okay, how else can we get to the command prompt? Well, you can use a serial connection. So you may not actually have the Ethernet connection available, the local area network connection available, and you can make a connection using the serial port. We'll talk about that in the next video.